Hi guys, welcome back to Hairdryer Treatment. Ladies in Red is back again at a slightly earlier time of 10 a.m. But I love doing this show with these girls, and I know for a fact that you guys are happy to see them back on Hairdryer Treatment as well. I'll start with Emma. Emma, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm ready. I've got my coffee. I'm raring to go.
Love that, love that. Nicole, how are you doing?
I'm ready. Got me brew. So good.
Everyone's got a bruise. I love that. And Meg, looking very glamorous this morning. Meg, how are you doing?
Look, like this is like I feel like I've half been dragged through a hedge backwards and half tried to make an effort. I'm not quite sure which side of the fence I'm sitting on.
No, you're
I don't drink brew, so orange squash, anyone?
You know what? I had a brew, and then just before the stream, I ran and got me a Ribena, just in case I have another coffee.
Oh, good choice.
Yeah, when I got me some Ribena squash, so I'm well happy with that this morning. But thank you for everyone coming on yet again. Love doing this show, and we've obviously got our topics that we've already discussed that we're going to talk through. But to start with, I want to talk about the fact that yesterday the news broke. 2 players have obviously tested positive for COVID. One of the players being a Norwich player. Norwich played a friendly with Spurs. I think it was on Friday. What are you guys thinking about that? And I'll start with you, Nicole. When you saw that news breaking yesterday, what did you think?
My mind just started collecting the dots like, wait a minute. We played Tottenham next week because I had this thing of like, for ages, I was like, oh, we should just null and void it. It's not worth the risk. As you girls know, I was saying it for ages. But then I've got to the point now where I'm buzzing for it. I'm excited for football, regardless of the form, the way that it's presented kind of thing. And now it's brought a question mark of like, are we all going to have to isolate? Are we going to play the game? Is that going to affect other games? Because obviously there's a knock-on effect of like one player plays that team plays another team, and then it's like, can it really continue? But it brings the questions up that I had in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, we've already said football coming back. We've kind of jumped on that hype now because we know it's going to happen regardless. But of course, there's that bit of apprehensiveness that if one player gets it, then obviously the whole team may have to be quarantined, and it's just horrible. We got to Carl in the background there, giving everyone a wave. Meg, what's your take on it though? Have you seen the news about the Norwich player being confirmed and one other player as well? What's your take on it?
I mean, I echo what Nicole said. I mean, what happens now? So that player obviously goes into self-isolation, but that player has not only been in their team, but also has been in the top, like around the Tottenham players. Well, for me, if I was a Tottenham fan and one of my players then test positive, I'd be well annoyed because if we're, if I'm at a club and there's no cases and everyone follows the rules, there shouldn't be an outburst of coronavirus in that team. And if there does, and it comes from another team, how annoying would that be? If you've like tried to contain it within your team and then you play somebody and they pass it on. But I don't really know what steps is next, really. What happens? That player obviously goes into self-isolation, but what happens for the Tottenham players if someone tests positive there? It was always going to happen, I think, but who knows? Like, I don't know where this leaves us. We spoke ages ago about null and void and the unnecessary risk. Here's the outcome of that unnecessary risk.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we all feared, isn't it? That players would contract the virus. I mean, the thing we're talking about off air, me and Emma were saying it, how have they contracted it? Because if players are being tested regularly at football, they're going straight home and they're at home. Obviously, family members probably still having to go to work, they're bringing it in. It's going to be a constant risk, isn't it? Footballers, I'm guessing, are taking the proper precautions. Like I say, they're just they're over at home or they're training and they're being tested in between. And players are still contracting the virus. So it's obvious that obviously there's people who live with them who are probably still going out to work. And it's always going to be a worry. In terms of next steps, you'd think that, like you say, self-isolation, maybe the team goes into isolation. But if that happens, then it has a knock-on effect with the game that's supposed to happen against Manchester United on Friday. Emma, what's your take on it? What do you think will happen next?
I'm so unsure what will happen. My concern is Spurs had a positive the other week, and now they've played Norwich, who's had a positive. So it's like we're playing Spurs, and they've had been in contact and had a positive. If I was a Manchester United player right now, I would be looking at it and being worried because we've got to play them, and they've just had contact with Norwich. And we don't know who's going to test positive next week. We did say this always happened. This was always a worry. I don't know what will happen. I don't know what Manchester United are going to say about it either.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? And if I'm a Manchester United player and I'm thinking I've got to go and play against Spurs, who've just played in a friendly where someone's been tested positive, it's going to be in the back of your head, isn't it? As a player, you're obviously going to be worried about it.
That's the thing. Even if it, the game goes ahead and everything's fine according to them, is it going to affect them psychologically? Because me personally, if I was going into my workplace, regardless of what your job is, that's money don't come into it with your health. And I knew someone had tested positive, would I do my job up to 100% standard? I don't know. Probably not.
It's like we've already said, though, people are literally risking their lives for our entertainment, and that does not sit right with me. And I've said it several times, like I don't feel comfortable with it. But regardless, we all know football will come back. It's got too much of a financial implication for it not to come back. But like Meg's favourite saying, isn't it, health before wealth? But obviously that's not the case, is it? It's wealth before health, unfortunately. But following that, obviously, football is coming back, and we've heard that Dele Alli is going to be banned for the game against Manchester United if that goes ahead. Does that make a major difference when you heard that news? Meg, I'll start with you. Do you think Dele Alli makes a massive difference to Spurs?
Mentality-wise, like I said before, that I think if you obviously the 5 subs as well, you need to have a large squad. You want to have a choice of players. If you have a player that you can't pick because of being banned, that sets you back a step, regardless of who it is. You want as many players to choose from, as many quality players. Okay, he's not probably their best player, but he's still got something about him. He's still an option to have had in the first team or on the bench to bring on. So whether people think he's good enough and he's of that quality to make a huge difference actually on the pitch is a different story. But I think mentality-wise, for Tottenham, you've lost a player that you could have basically picked. For United, it's another one that they haven't got to worry about. And he is good. He is good. I'm not saying that he's going to set the world alight, but he is good.
Yeah, Dele Alli is one of the players that I've always thought was overrated. I remember watching for England against Germany in a friendly a few years ago, and he stood out. And that was the one game where I thought, you know what, he's very talented. But other than that, he's a bit too hot and cold for me. And he's got a bit of nastiness in his game, which I think is a good thing sometimes because you need that bit of bite. But other than that, I just think that for me, he's the kind that throws his toys at the pram a little bit, has a bit of a paddy when it's not going right. And I just don't think he's as good as what people make out. I think he's a prime example of an English player being overhyped. I really do. But obviously Spurs fans may disagree. They see a lot more of Dele Alli than I do. But that's me from the outside looking in. I actually don't think it makes a major difference if he's not playing. Emma, what's your take on Dele Alli being banned?
Well, we played him last December, didn't we? And he scored against us, even though we won 2-1. And me and Carl had this conversation last night, and Carl actually agreed with you, Seb. He said he's overrated. Me, I don't think he's overrated. I think he's a very, very good player. And I think what we're going to get, if we win against Spurs, what we're going to get is, we didn't have him. We didn't have one of our best players. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference because I think our team is so strong at the moment and we've got good players. I think it's not really going to affect us. I think we just haven't got that threat as much, have we?
I get it. I think Dele Alli on his day, don't get me wrong, he's a talented player. Like you've mentioned, he does score important goals. He is a goal scorer. And maybe Jose Mourinho isn't the right guy for him. I remember when Jose first took over at Spurs, he kind of hit a run of form, Dele Alli, and people thought maybe he's getting back to the best. But I just think the gap between these good games is far too much to be a top player. And I do think he's overrated. But of course, he is a dangerous player and he can score goals. But I think the likes of Son coming back and Harry Kane is more than enough for Spurs. I think they give them a massive lift. Which is why I don't think Dele Alli will be too much. But Nicole, Dele Alli, do you rate him?
I'm in between. Like I've seen a few people joking, like, "Oh, well, that's an advantage for Tottenham because he's not playing." I think that's a little bit harsh, because he might not have been in the best form before the break. People might not rate him, but it's still a notable absence in the team. And like you say, like I think Meg said, it's that mental advantage and boost. But to be honest, in regards to players like being fit or unfit, however much it's a boost to see players like Kane back, like Rashford back. I think because of the weird situation we're in, I think it's more who wants it more on the day. I don't think anyone can quite say who has the upper hand, whether it be we're away or with the no crack. Do you know what I mean? I think it's one of them. You can only really see how the players perform under that kind of pressure in this new normal when it actually comes to the day, really.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at Twisted comment there. Dele Alli is as useful as a handbrake on a canoe. It's a bit hard, that one. It's a bit hard. But Dele Alli, on his day, I think he has got moments in him where he can produce a bit of magic, but I just don't think you see that moment enough. It'll probably happen against United next time he plays them, so that just to rub it in. But no, I just don't think we see it enough. But he's a good player to have in your ranks, as Nicole. And I mean, as Megan said, to have that player as an option obviously is a boost, and to not have that losing eight ultimately. But I think Son and Kane, obviously the likes of Lucas Moura as well, I think they're all good enough to fill in for Dele Alli. It's just whether Jose Mourinho can get them playing the way that he wants them to. Dan James, then, he's been at United for a year. What do you guys think? I've seen a very mixed opinion on him. Some people saying he's definitely not good enough. Some people are saying he's a squad player. Some people are saying that he's only going to get better. Well, I'm interested to see what you guys think about him. And I'll start with you, Emma. Do you like Dan James? Do you rate him?
I absolutely love Dan James. I don't understand this stick he's got recently. Like, he came from Swansea. He joined Manchester United. I don't think anyone expected him to play as much. I think he just had a little dip. He got burnt out from playing so many games, being thrown in the deep end. Plus, he had personal issues. So he had all that pressure on him, and I think he just had a little dip. And I think it's unfair for people to say he's a massive flop because he's not. He's a vital player in our team, and he's got the pace. He's a good player, and I don't think it's a flop at all. He's a bargain for us.
I'll be honest, I'm in the Dan James club. I love him. I do think he's a bit of a pace merchant, but his pace is so effective. I just think that if you've got pace, you can't teach pace. You've either got it or you haven't got it, and he has got it. And I think if we can improve his final product, I agree with the statements that I do think he's going to get better. I think it's all down to whether Ollie can get the best out of him, and it'll show whether Ollie is a good coach or not, how he progresses. But I do think he obviously signed for Manchester United. He never expected to be playing as much as he has been playing. I think we've overplayed him, to be honest with you. But I just think he's a decent squad player. Somebody you bring on against tired legs, I think he can be really, really effective. Nicole, what's your take on Dan James?
I think, first of all, and most important, that what I find disgusting more than anything is, regardless whether you're a fan of him on the pitch or not, the comments that he gets, especially regarding his dad, who sadly passed away, are disgusting. I wouldn't talk about a player I despise like that. So first and foremost, there's never an excuse for that, period. Second of all, I love him. I've got a soft spot for him, and I think it was a case of maybe too much too soon, and because he had such an immediate impact, and everyone was thinking how is he going to adjust to the Premier League. That goal against Chelsea won my heart. I think it won everyone's hearts, and what it meant to him and what it meant to us. It wasn't the cleanest of finishes, but it didn't matter. That was just like a fairy tale to come on him to do that, and then the thing is, when you have that immediate impact and then you play for United, you're going to have that, oh, he's a brilliant player, he's going to be world class, he's going to be great for this and that. And then it puts this pressure on him so that when his form does dip, and it did, to be fair, I'm not gonna lie, it seems to be focused more on him, but he's 22? I think, like I said, a bit too much too soon. We might have overused it due to lack of squad depth, and I think it's brilliant for the future, for that super sub that you want to come on and to get the pace and to get that. I think he's one of these players that has little fear, and I think you need that sometimes as opposed to the technical side. And I think it can only get better with age, and people are a little bit too critical sometimes to take it for what it is. Oh, and on a side note, I've seen it. I don't know if you girls seen it. There was an interview that Scott McTominay did with him. And the way Scott was talking to him, like a friend, but obviously his colleague as well, was it doesn't matter if you're not scoring goals as much. It's about being there, getting there, and just the comments that Scott made to his friend. I don't know. I just found that really sweet, and I think it made people realise, wow, it was literally his first season. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. People forgetting it's literally his first season in the Premier League, and people are judging him on that. And I think for a breakthrough season, he's done superbly well. I really do. I just want to read out Doug's channel. Doug's channel, the Dugout channel. I'm actually going to check it out. Thank you for the super chat, Doug. Dan James for 15 million at the time was a bargain. Do not judge a book by its cover. Start he had was fantastic. He's been overplayed, but a great buy. And I completely agree with what Doug just said. I think for the price we paid for him, he's played far too many games. I just think it's harsh to judge him as much as people are doing. But Meg, what's your take on Dan James?
I mean, I echo what a lot of you have said anyway, and what Doug said. But don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that Dan James is about to become the next Ronaldo. But remember when we had Ronaldo, he had that season before he became elite, where he did the hard work, but then his final product wasn't there, and he was quite frustrating to watch. I remember watching Ronaldo at that time, and I was like, like that last bit, all he's got to do is done 90% of the work. He's just that last bit. And I feel like with Dan James, we're almost seeing that where he can get down the wing, but then he hasn't got that end product just yet. And I'm not saying that he's going to become the next Ronaldo, but look what happened to Ronaldo the season after, and then the seasons after that. So I think it's really harsh to be like so harsh on Dan James after one season. And I also think he had such a good start that it was almost detrimental for him, because he had such a good few games to begin with, that we were like, I think everyone was blown away a little bit, taken aback by, wow, this kid has come in, scored the goals, he's got pace, he seems to have it all. And I like, unfortunately, it was half like detrimental to him, because he just dropped off a little bit. But I'm not saying that he's been poor, because I don't think he's poor. I think he's just a young lad who made a big step up to Manchester United, hit the ground off running straight away, and now is kind of finding his feet a little bit. And it's not, what do they say? It's not always a setback, it's how you come back from that. And I think for him, that's after this, especially if we use him in the Project Restart in the right way, 5 subs, I would expect to see Dan James probably on the pitch at times. How he comes back, and how how he's trained, and if he's learned anything, to see if we can get the second season out of him, as in like what we got out of Ronaldo. But like I said, I am not saying that Dan James is the next Ronaldo. Before that, somebody popped up like, oh, Mo thinks Dan James is Ronaldo. Like,
I've already said to click it up. Just put it in the chat to pick it up.
Welsh Ronaldo incoming, that's what it is. Alex, thank you for the super chat. Alex, thank you so much for the super chat. He said, I don't understand why people are on Dan James' back. He's still a very young player who has been overplayed, but he will get better, give the lad time. And I think that's spot on. I think we jumped to, like you say, Meg, scoring on his debut. Obviously, everyone was absolutely buzzing. That won most people's hearts. I even had Chelsea fans messaging me saying, as a Chelsea fan, like it was quite a touching moment. And I just think it was. It was one of them special moments in football. And I think that he did that, and people expected him to go and score every single game following that. Do you know what I mean? And the expectations were a bit too high. Yeah, that's what it is, and it did kind of go against him, that. But I think for his opening season, I think he's done a superb job. I really do. We want to talk about centre backs, because obviously we've got a lot of centre backs, and I want to ask you guys who your favourite partnership would be. So obviously you've got Harry Maguire in there, but who do you think is the best player to partner him? Now, we've had a brief discussion on this recently. But I'm going to ask you in a minute as well, if you could sign one centre-back, a realistic centre-back signing, who would you consider getting into partner Maguire as well? I mean, Koulibaly, obviously, we've been linked with. There's players like Ake and players like that as well who've been linked with United in the past, linked with a move away from Bournemouth. You've already said Bournemouth might go down. Would you take a player like that at United? Or do you think Tuanzebe could progress to be that player? And I think it's interesting discussion. But right now, in this moment in time, who would you most be happy with playing alongside Harry Maguire? And I'll start with you, Nicole. Who do you think is his best partner?
I've still got this excitement about Bayoumi, like, and I know sometimes like don't fix what isn't broken or something like that. But for me, Maguire is obviously a calm presence, he's a leader, he's got strength in defence, and I think you need that little bit of fighting. He needs to tone it down a little bit. Because he can go a little bit crazy, and he needs to stay fit because it's insane. But it just makes me excited. Like, I'm not saying he reminds me of like the Ferdinand and Vidic days, but he's that kind of character where he'll just get his face in, he'll get his head in. You know what I mean? He has no face, and if he can just smoothing it out a bit and just like know when to use his aggression and when to calm down and not get injured. I don't know. I just think we'd be on for something good, and I think that'd excite me more personally than seeing Maguire sticking with Lindelof. That's just me.
Yeah, so Boye would be your ideal choice, obviously, as long as he stays fit. Yep. Meg, who would you put beside of Maguire?
I'm in the same boat with Nicole. I absolutely love Eric Bailly. Like, I've said before, my favourite pairing was Ferdinand and Vidic, like a favourite duo at United. I absolutely love the Vidic and Ferdinand partnership. It epitomised for me everything about Manchester United and how to play the game. And Eric Bailly is the closest thing for me that we have had to that kind of player back in the centre half. I think Nicole's right. When you talk about Maguire, he is a leader. He's quite calm. he kind of secures up the defence a little bit. I feel like you can rely on him. You probably couldn't rely on Eric Bailly for being there 24/7, but that's his style, isn't he? He goes off on a little bit and he's, he just pops out of nowhere. But do I think he will start? I feel like if you want to play it safe, you play Maguire and Lindelof together. If you want to mix it up a little bit, see how it goes, you stick Bailly in there. But yeah, I'd like to see him in, but I'm not sure whether we will. I feel like Lindelof is like a safe option. Maguire and Lindelof have spent time together. They seem to have formed a little bit of a partnership as well. So I think that will come through, and we'll see Lindelof there.
Yeah, Ollie seems to trust Lindelof, doesn't he? I think that's one thing for sure. Like, he played Lindelof a lot. He seemed to be that was the guy that he wanted to be alongside Maguire. But Emma, who would you put there?
Same as the girls, Eric Bailly. As long as he just doesn't get injured, he is my number one choice. But Axel Tuanzebe would be my second choice. Now, Ollie must have some faith in him, because before he got injured, he was going to start against Liverpool. So that screams confidence that Ollie thinks that he is a decent centre back. Lindelof, for me, I like Lindelof, but he's a bit suspect in the air. Like when the high balls come over, it's like he doesn't like to head of the ball, and like then Maguire's left. I'm not saying that I don't like Lindelof and Maguire together. I think that the high balls for Lindelof is a bit suspect. So my first choice would be Eric Bailly.
Yeah, I think Bailly is just an absolute madman. I think if I was playing against Eric Bailly, I would be absolutely crapping myself all game. I think he's that kind of player you would hate to play against him. And that's kind of what gets him in trouble a lot of times. That's why he's injured so much, I think, because he's such a loose cannon and such a mad head. He flies into challenges. But you just love that about him. I think that's why a lot of people used to like the likes of Raphael, because he just heart on the sleeve, out there, put everything out there. And that's why people like Bailly. I just hope that he can get him the form where he stays fit. I think his injuries have ruined his career at United, and it's a shame. I think if he could have stayed fit, he would have been a consistent centre-back for us, and obviously Maguire then coming in would have been a great partnership. But it depends what happens. I think Tuanzebe could be one for the future. I just saw Diesel offered us David Luiz if he wanted him. Yeah, all right, no, thank you. I would not touch him with a barge pole. I couldn't believe that Arsenal signed him, to be honest with you. But I think in terms of centre-backs out there, you look at, like, bless you, mate. You look at like Nathan Ake, for example. I saw someone comment in the chat just. I think he's a decent option to be looking at, to be honest. If we need a centre-back, Koulibaly obviously is mega money. We're talking a lot of money to try and sign him. If Bournemouth go down, Ake will be looking for a way out, I'm guessing. And I think he could be a decent option for one of the big clubs anyway. I think he could be a decent centre-back. But I genuinely think that Bailly is probably the best option, but I just feel like he's not trusted as much as Lindelof is by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think Solskjaer's first choice is Lindelof. But I agree, I think Lindelof is very vulnerable with the ball in the air. I think when the ball's on the floor, I think he reads the game well. He's fairly quick as well. But I just think that up against physical strikers, I think you see there's a vulnerability there about Lindelof. If a big striker is playing against Maguire and Lindelof, I guarantee you they will always put themselves on Victor Lindelof because they've got a chance of winning the ball there. But I think if we can nail down a consistent partner for Maguire, I think obviously it'll be beneficial to everybody. Is Ake better than Axel, though, so he's flawless? No, I don't think he is. I think Tuanzebe could be a great player for us in the future, but we just need to make sure he's getting that game time. And obviously we've still got Phil Jones in our ranks, and nobody voted for Phil Jones as a perfect partner for Maguire. What's going on?
Sorry, Phil, mate.
bless Phil Jones. But if you could sign a centre back in the summer, like, who would your ideal choice be? I think Koulibaly would have to be up there for me because I just think he's an absolute beast, to be honest with you. But price wise, obviously we might not want to play that like for the centre back. So, what would you do? Would you sign one, or would you bring Tuanzebe through? Nicole, what would you do?
I think if we was going to sign someone, go big or go home. The name that you just said that I cannot say, beginning with K, so I'm not going to try. Like I feel like go big or go home. I like to have a beast in defence. I like to have someone that's proven and that's just hungry for it. But then at the same time, if you're gonna have a manager in this current era that's going to give younger players a chance, then it's Solskjaer. So depending on the money situation, if you need to, just bring Tuanzebe and and see what happens. I think either or really. It's more how Ole decides to go forward and the whole money thing after this whole thing that we're all going through. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Koulibaly obviously has got an Upper Meccano. Connor just said in the chat as well. I got Upper Meccano on FIFA. I don't know if that's any good yet, but yeah, I know he's a promising talent. I know he was linked with Arsenal as well. Arsenal have needed a centre back now for as long as I can remember, to be honest with you. And they signed David Luiz to try and solve
Arsenal
the
need a
problem.
whole new defence.
Yeah, I know, but how long have they needed one for though? They've literally needed one for forever. But they just don't seem to tackle that problem. I mean, David Luiz was brought in as the answer for that, and obviously he's not. But I think it's just. It baffles me. But when you think about world-class centre-backs out there, Koulibaly is one of the first names that comes to your mind, really. De Ligt was the other one, obviously, last season. There was a lot of hype around. He obviously had his big move. Flawless says they've needed a centre-back for about 20 years. It probably is about that long, to be fair. So as long as I can remember, like, genuinely, they've needed a centre-back for ages. Guys, get any comments in the chat, any questions you want to ask us as well. But obviously we've got Spurs. We were all so positive last weekend. We were saying, 3-1, 3-0 were our predictions. 2-1 I think we had as well. Do you still feel as positive about it now? It's coming closer. A lot of people think that Jose might have a plan under his sleeve. He's always got a plan under his sleeve, and I think it's about whether we can break them down. Bruno, Pogba, Martial, Rashford. I was trying to talk about Rashford as well. Did you see the skill the other day that he did against West Brom? The kid looks on fire. He looks so sharp, doesn't he, Emma?
He looked amazing. I've seen the clips that was from the friendly, and I think he just looks amazing. I think a few of them are just looking on point. Like, I don't rate Pong at all, but he even looked good. So this is giving me the buzz of, like, I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to keep a clean sheet. It's going to be 2-0. Yeah, I'm loving it.
Love Emma's positivity. We're not going to concede. We're going to score 2 goals.
Yeah.
Love that. Nicole, what do you think? Do you think that we'll have what it takes to break down Jose? Are you expecting Jose to part the buzzers? Obviously, he's typically well known to do, and then try and counter attack? Because we've struggled against teams like that.
Yeah. The thing is with Jose, you never really know, because I think he lives in like Jose land. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still as confident. The nerves are starting to kick in now, but that's just me. But deep down, I'm still like, no, we can do this. We've got this. And I think like I remember saying when we was watching, when we seen like the little clips from the friendlies, and he played 2 sides, you can see like Ole's mind ticking over and things like that. And like even players like Pereira were scoring. It's like, what's going on? And it just, I don't know. I'm just excited to see what's going to happen, and I hope we try and get rid of this thing of we can't break down teams if they don't come at us. Do you know what I mean? But we'll just have to wait and see. But I think we will concede. That's the only little bit of negativity for me. But I think last week I said 2-1. This time I'm going 3-1. I'm going for it.
Love that. So you've increased it. Meg, how are you feeling about it? Are you still feeling confident? Do you think we'll break them down?
I'm feeling confident still. I'm still sticking by that we're going to win. We'll score 3 goals. Last week I did say 3-0, and then midweek I was like 3-1. So it's going to be one of them. Just on a side note, I just seen a comment in the chat. Where is it? I think it was one Arsene Wenger who just put, what position did you guys play back in the day?
I just saw that as well.
Back in the day, I go back to training on Wednesday. We're still there.
We're still playing. We're still playing.
I haven't hung the boots up just yet. Give me a chance.
But I will answer the question. Meg plays wherever she wants.
Meg plays like she's gone on an adventure. Yeah, I'm staying with the positivity. I'm still sticking with the 3 goals. I liked what I saw from the clips at the against West Brom. Bit of a snag in the road. The loss, the scoreline, but the fact that the Rashford just looked sharp, like razor sharp. Like he looked like he hadn't been away. He was flying before the injury. I feel like he's going to come flying out the blocks again. He's just unreal. He just looked on point. So for me, a huge bonus that he's back, and he's looking like he's back on his best as well. We've all waited for Bruno and Pogba. The link-up happened. I just can't wait to see it for a full 90 minutes. Whatever we get out of them. can't wait to see that. I'm buzzing that they were on the same team for the first time. Loved it, and for the fact that, like, yes, everyone's like, he is Mr. Pre-season, isn't he, Pereira? He's got that title. Lo and behold,
He's good.
we're going back for a mini pre-season and he bangs in a brace. So he's back, but it's nice to see him score. Like the fringe players, Chong scored as well. So that's got to give everyone a boost. The fact that players like that, we're seeing them play and we're seeing them score goals. They scored 3 in their game, so that's got to be a boost. I'll just wait for Bruno and Pogba. I can't help it. I'm literally like all eyes on them, and a few on Rashford to see what he's doing. But for me, all eyes on Pogba and Bruno.
Just going back to the centre back. Mendy playing the friendly. No, Mendy, he played in the friendly, didn't he?
Yeah.
On Friday. And going back to the centre backs, he is one for the future, I think, to come into the first team and be an absolute amazing centre back, because he's got potential.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people are saying, should he go out on loan? Do you think that it'd be a good time for him to go out? And I think it probably would be, to be fair. But a bit like with Vitu Nzadi, he went to Villa, had a good season at Aston Villa, come back, and now he should be pushing for the first team spot. And I think Phil Jones, I think you all agree with me that I think he should be departing this summer. He's been at the club 9 years now. How he stayed 9 years, I do not know. But yeah, he's been at the club 9 years, and I think now it's time that he moves on to allow players like Tuanzebe being Mendy to get a running and hopefully push for the first team. But yeah, definitely one for the future. I completely agree with that. Alex, thank you for the super chat again. He says, against Spurs, who do you think will be in the 11? Who do you girls think will be in the 11? What formation do you think we'll go for? I think the midfield is the hardest choice at the moment. I think Lindelof will start with Maguire at the back, Wan-Bissaka. Luke Shaw's another one I'd like to talk about, because I've had a few people saying he looks fat and a few people saying he looks like a different player. I think he's lost weight. I genuinely think he looks in good shape and he looks sharp.
I agree with you. I think, like, I've seen a couple of pictures and I thought he looks, from what he's been like as well, from what he has been like, we have seen pictures of him before where he's put weight on. He's nowhere near that. Like, he looked good. He looked like he fitted in. He was nice. Like, he was just there. I'll put him in. He can start if he wants. I'll give him the nod. I think it'll be the same, like, normal back four that we always play, with De Gea in goal. I'm going to go for.
The midfield is so hard because
I'm going to go for McTominay, Pogba, and Bruno.
Fred straight loses out.
I think Fred will lose out, unfortunately. But I don't see Pogba not starting. And I also don't see Fred playing the holding role. I don't think so. With 5 subs, you can put him on. Like, there's no, that releases it a bit more. So I think Pogba and Bruno will be one of the first 2 names on the team sheet. And then I think you look at Rashford, Martial. I want to say Sancho already. When he signed him.
Put him on anyway.
But to be fair, when you talk about Dan James earlier, if we do get Sancho, then automatically Dan James, that's the space that obviously when he drops out. But he's, like I've already said, he's exceeded all expectations already. So I think he'd be quite happy to drop to the bench and be that impact player at this stage of his career. And I think that's like one of the moves that actually wouldn't affect him much. We've already mentioned the headache that Ollie's got now in that midfield with Fred. But Fred doesn't deserve to be dropped. Then you'd argue McTominay deserves the right to start as well.
You could play a diamond, though. You could have McTominay with Fred, Pogba, and Bruno, like, and then Rashford and Martial.
So don't play with White.
No, don't play with Whips. But
see, for me, my plan would be the same as Meg, but I would take out Scott and put Fred in, because Fred does not deserve to be left out. He had been playing amazing. His work rate improved. I don't think that he should be dropped. Definitely, I think Scott should be left out. Fred put in there. There's no doubt that
it's not against Fred. I just feel like he doesn't fit that holding role, and I feel like we perhaps need someone just with a bit of discipline, and then free up the ones who are attacking a bit more.
But like you said, if you could always go to the diamonds, that would work.
I think Diamond, though, didn't we play that against Everton when we lost like that horrible game?
Yeah, we did lose.
I just think when we haven't got the width, like Rashford, we know that is his position out wide on the left, like to cut in. And I think that if you're moving more central, do you then lose? Do you lose the effect?
You could, in my head, Rashford can go out wide because you have you have Pogba who can join Bruno, but Bruno in the 10 coming forward, so then he kind of fills that gap. So if Rashford goes out, Bruno pushes forward, and you've still got a 2. And then Rashford out wide.
That's where Ollie comes into it. Like, he needs to train them into that system. And I always say Wolves are a good example of this. Nuno's got them drilled into a system. They all know how they're playing. Like, at Darmstadt, we already converted basically into a right wing back. And his players being able to play that role. And I don't know if Ollie... People are questioning whether Ollie's got the capability to do that.
Tactical mastermind over here.
No, I want to try it. Like, of course, we want to try and accommodate all these players. I'm just saying that we need to get them into a system that they understand now. Like, rather than... in the past, we've seen where players have just been bodged into places just because they're trying to fill a gap and they're trying to accommodate players. Like, we need players to understand their roles, and that's something that I think that we've kind of missed out on. And we mention Mata all the time, but for me, if Mata would have played centrally in his preferred position for more of the time at United, he'd have been a lot more effective, and he's been forced out wide just to fill that space. Do you know what I mean? And I think that I don't want to see that happening with the likes of Bruno. I want him to play where his best position is. And the same with Pogba. And that's where the thing is with Fred, isn't it? Because we don't think he's a holding, disciplined player. He likes to get about Fred, and that's the interesting one. One Arsene Wenger, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. He said we should go out on Mbappe. Him, Pogba and Martial in the same team would be incredible. I said the other week Mbappe would be my dream signing. But just imagine if we had those players at United. Just dream for a second.
You do know that we've got Ed Woodward up there. He's not nowhere. We'd all like to dream, and then it hits you, doesn't it, who we've got up there in the ranks of spending money, and then it just comes crashing down.
I just read some of the comments. Against the better teams, I think you need a more disciplined DM than Fred. I would agree with that. I think sometimes you would afford to have Fred in there because he's got the energy to get about as well, and his tenacity in the middle, I think, is something that I love in there. And that's why a lot of people loved Ander Herrera, because he had that tenacity in the middle. But McTominay is more disciplined, isn't he? And a bit like Matic as well, more disciplined in that holding role. But I think Fred, it's harsh to leave him out. I think it's harsh to drop him. And I wouldn't be surprised if Pogba doesn't come in and straight away and start the first game. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Ollie does that. Because obviously...
He dropped him.
No, he hasn't been dropped though, has he? He hasn't come back, really. Think about it. He was injured before. And I wouldn't do that if I was Ollie. But I'm just saying I wouldn't be too surprised. No, I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't envy Ollie at all because like, we're discussing it. Like we can't decide which midfield to go with, really. No matter what he does, someone is going to be upset, and you're going to have people like, "Oh, he's doing rubbish lineup again." Do you know what I mean? No matter what he does, he can't achieve everyone.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, Pogba, of course, we all want Pogba Bruno back. Of course we do. I'm so excited to see that. And I think that's why I've got this niggling feeling in the back of my mind that actually you watch Pogba being on the bench. Just watch it, Pogba being on the bench.
The thing is, it would be unfair for Pogba to go straight back in the team, but we do need our strongest team out, and Pogba is a massive talent and player that we're gonna need. So it's one of those 22s for Ollie, and I don't envy him at all.
Yeah, I think if you've got Paul Pogba fit, I would always say he's got to play, surely.
This is the point. If Pogba's fit, he plays.
We've seen it happen, though.
Talent.
We've seen it happen where Pogba's been on the bench and watching that Fred's been playing well. Bruno obviously came in and was fantastic. McTominay came in and scored against City just before all this happened. Like, should Pogba walk straight back in? Has he earned the right to walk back in? I don't think he's earned the right, but I think we all know the potential and obviously the quality of Paul Pogba, and obviously we want to see him linking up with Bruno. But would you say he's earned the right?
I feel like if we hadn't had a break and Pogba came back just during the season as the games were going on, I think then you would find it even harsher to drop Fred, because if there wasn't a break and Pogba came back and Fred was still playing well, then it was really harsh. But at the moment, I feel like that it's like a pre-season. You're on a level playing field. We've had that long of a break that you have to almost discard what the players were like prior to this break, because we've all sat there and said, well, we don't know what the form the teams are going to come back on. Like the teams that were flying, like Man United were flying before the break, are we going to come back and replicate that, or Leicester were free falling before the break, are they going to turn that round? And I think it's the same with the players. Like I think they are now on a level playing field, and
Yeah, and obviously we haven't seen Liverpool train. Pogba could have trained absolutely superbly, and he has earned the right to start. Of course, I'm just saying, like, for the season so far, you'd say Fred has got more of a right to start than Pogba has from what we've seen of the season. But obviously, we don't know what they've been like in training. Pogba's been professional throughout all of this and fair play. And I think that, yeah, I'll really want to see Bruno and Pogba. United for Life, thank you for the super chat. He says, buy world-class players like that doesn't equal success. We remember the first Galacticos team for Real Madrid. You buy smart and you build carefully. Of course, Alexis Sanchez is a good example. You bring in ready-made big names. It's not always a solution, is it? It's not always going to work out like that. And I think that's why the piano player. That's what people refer to him as. But I think he's just a good example. Obviously, we signed him. We've seen the quality he had at Arsenal. He was probably their best player. Expected that at United. It just didn't work for him. And you can't always just get big names. That is not the answer. We need players with a certain playing style. And that's why I love the fact that we signed Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, we overpaid, but I'm happy that we signed Harry Maguire. Bruno Fernandes is just obviously, and I think that Ollie's getting that kind of profile of player in now. I think we went through a bit of a stage where we were signing like Di Maria, Falcao, Zlatan, where we were getting big names ready-made, getting them in. But we know that we need to build a project, and that's why a lot of the youth are important in that. The dugout, again, thank you so much for the super chat. He says Pogba should not walk straight back in to the team, and a lot of people are arguing that. I just think if you've got a player like Pogba, though, surely he should be starting. But I completely agree. He hasn't earned the right.
A question for Doug, though, is let's say, let's throw it back to when Gerrard was playing, and if Gerrard had been injured, would Gerrard walk back in your team? Because he was one of their best midfielders. For me, Pogba is one of our best midfielders. Gerrard walks into the Liverpool team at that point, and I think as a United fan, Pogba, like I said, he's not walking back into the team because we've had the pre-season, like it's like a mini pre-season. We've had that break. Like I said, if it had been middle of the season and he's coming in whilst he's still playing games, different story. But because we've got the break, I think you take it on how they're training and their talent.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just laughing at the comment down there.
Yeah, and me. Yeah. The Galvatron comment made me laugh. No, you would slip into the first team. Yeah, it made me laugh. Good one. But yeah, I think that, of course, he's a big player, and I think that throughout all of this, obviously, quarantine and where it is, he stayed professional. He's been quiet. There's a lot of footballers who've gone and broke boundaries and have been in the spotlight. Pogba's got his head down. He looks so happy, I think, in training. From the pictures I've seen, I think he looks like he's absolutely buzzing. I'm just hoping that if Pogba does start, we get to see the best of him. We know that when we're playing against teams who are going to sit in creatively, we have struggled. If you're struggling creatively, you need Paul Pogba in your team because he's one of the most creative players in the world. So I think that Pogba and Bruno in there, I think, will be useful. And obviously Rashford and Martial as well. I just think that if he is fit, put him straight in there. I'm just excited to see him and Bruno, to be honest. From a purely selfish point of view, just put him in there. But it is harsh on Fred, and I completely agree. But I do agree with Flawless that depends on who you're playing against. You could play Fred in there. You don't need someone as disciplined against certain teams. But obviously Spurs, I'm guessing they're going to put Mendy on the ball. They're going to be hard to break down. They're going to try and counter on us, which is why we need disciplined players in there. But we need that creativity as well. In the 2014-15 season, Gerrard was injured for 4 to 5 weeks. Rodgers didn't play him until December. I think the difference there is obviously sometimes if it's an injury, you need to ease a player back in. Pogba's being eased back in by the fact that he's had low contact training, and it's gradually increased, hasn't it, training. I think that has been his progression really, and now he's playing obviously friendly football. He's been quite lucky in the sense that it's almost like he's got injured at the end of the season and he's had like a whole pre-season to get himself back fit again, hasn't he? Whereas obviously in a mid-season, you don't get that opportunity, and I think that is probably the difference there. But I think Pogba is just, we all know the quality he's got, and it makes me want to pull my hair out sometimes because I know he's got that quality. I'm just sick of the circus that surrounds him. I'm just hoping that he can just get his head down and play football because that's what he's there for, and we all know the talent that he has got. The first game up, I think, is Villa, isn't it, on Wednesday? Villa against Sheffield United. Yeah. Are you all going to be tuning in for that one?
Yeah.
I'm at training. What time is it?
I think that's 6 o'clock, and then 8:15 is Arsenal against City.
I might make it back for the first one.
So
all this hype, and I'm not even going to watch the first game.
I read yesterday a tweet that we are more likely to sign Jack Grealish than we are to sign Havertz or Van der Beek, I believe.
Yeah.
Would you be happy if we ended up with Grealish? Would you take him? I'll start with you, Meg. I can see Meg's cogs turning. Would you take Grealish?
Yeah, I would take him. But I'm just, again, we go back to this conversation is that Bruno is playing, would you take Bruno off and put Grealish on for a starting position? You wouldn't. And I don't. Again, we would have to be looking at how to fit him into the squad. So although I would take him, I don't know if he would play as much as he is now. He wouldn't, like, you'd have to say, okay, who starts, Bruno or Grealish, or Bruno, Pogba, Fred, like Grealish, Pogba, Fred. You're in that midfield again. It is nice to have quality and quantity, but it's sometimes quite hard to keep players happy. So if he comes, he doesn't start.
Yeah. Any further updates on the Norwich player that tested positive yesterday? Does anyone know? All I know is that the player who has contracted the virus, he did play in the friendly against Spurs on Friday. Who the player is yet, I do not know. It's not named. It's not named who the other player is or what club they play for as well. But I do believe the Norwich player did play in the friendly against Spurs, which is why obviously everything is a bit up in the air because Spurs are due to play on Friday against Manchester United. Does then that mean they go into isolation? What happens following this? I'm just guessing that players are going to be tested for the virus, obviously, as soon as is what I predict. But it's just scary. It just underlines the risk with bringing football back. And I think it's kind of... I think we've had a few days now, or maybe even a week, where the numbers have dropped and people fall into complacency, like, oh, COVID's now gone. I know we've been distracted by the protests and everything else that's been going on as well, and I think our minds have switched a bit from coronavirus at the minute, and it feels like people are starting to relax on it, and I think this is kind of like a slap in the face, if you want, just to wake us up a bit, that actually it is still out there, and it is still a risk, and people are still contracting this virus every single day. And that's why it's so scary, the fact that football is coming back. But like I've already said, we were all apprehensive to start with. And now I think we're kind of jumping on the hype and thinking, you know what, it's going to come back regardless. So let's just enjoy it and support our team. And I think that's what the majority of people are doing now, aren't they? Well, I want to ask as well, did you guys see the... I'll be honest, I had to stay off Twitter for most of the day yesterday because of the horrible scenes that I saw in London. It made me feel ashamed, if I'm honest, to be a white person. I just think it was absolutely disgusting. It's embarrassing. And as I said last week with obviously the Black Lives Matter protests, there's a small minority of people who just want to spoil it. They don't give a toss about the message that is trying to be put out. They're just using it as an excuse just to be thugs. And it just made me feel absolutely sick. And I don't know if you guys saw much of it yesterday. Like I say, I had a day off Twitter pretty much because it's just getting so tiring seeing that in a world that is so negative at the minute anyway, and then you've just got this on top of it, and I just think it's so mentally draining. Meg, I want to say big up to you. Obviously, you went to a protest in Stafford, and it was all peaceful, wasn't it?
There was not one hint of aggression, violence. Only one Muppet that walked through So at the end of the protest, everyone knelt for the 8 minutes and 46 seconds, which, by the way, was the most moving and powerful experience that you could do when you see hundreds of people kneel for that long, which is just great. I couldn't kneel on one knee for that long, and you have to think that he knelt on someone's neck for that long. It's absolutely utterly disgusting. So the one Muppet that walked past and decided to make a comment about dead quiet, like something about being dead quiet, and it was just like, there's always one, and it was not one person who was there supporting about Black Lives Matter. There was speakers during the protest who spoke highly of the police, who praised the police, because it's not blacks against police, it's against racists, and not every police officer is a racist. And we spoke about how people are judging X, Y, and Z, and part of that is not to judge all the police by a handful, just like you don't judge black people by a handful of their actions. So it was so good. It was what you have to think as well, and I saw someone write this, and I tweeted it yesterday because someone decided to comment on my picture. Had a few not very nice things said. One of them decided to talk about whether I condemn the what's going on in London today versus what went on the last couple of weekends. The last couple of weekends, the majority of it was peaceful. There was a small handful of violent outbursts, but supporting something that is meaningful. What went on in London yesterday was a bunch of thugs looking for a fight, angry over absolutely nothing. And I think if you asked one person, if you'd asked one of them what they were actually angry about yesterday, they wouldn't be able to answer your question. They have no reason to be angry, in my opinion, and that is my opinion. And I think they will probably come back and say that they were angry because of X, Y, Z. But when you compare what they did yesterday, rioting or protesting about what compared to what happened the last couple of weekends, and yes, there was violence over the last couple of weekends, but they were protesting for a meaningful reason, and the majority of that was people. And yeah, sorry, I've gone on a rant again.
I'll be honest, I think both ends, the violence last week was not good enough from the Black Lives Matter protest. It's simply not good enough, and the violence this weekend was absolutely shambolic, and like I said, it's embarrassing. Both sides, violence is not the answer, regardless of what race you are. For me, if you're going to be violent, you're just completely going against the whole point that you're trying to make. Like, I just do not agree with it at all. And I think that it's been an excuse for people to jump on the bandwagon just to go out and protest and just to be an absolute thug. It's an excuse to go out and behave that way. And it's nothing to do with the message of Black Lives Matter. It's nothing to do with the message of equality. It's just to go out. And like I say, those people in London yesterday, I thought it was absolutely embarrassing. There with a can in hand. There was one little clip though that I must admit that did tickle me a little bit, and it's a bloke in this blue like polo, and I don't know what he's doing, but he goes past the camera like this. Have you seen it? And I put like a little backing track on it. That clip, that did tickle me a little bit. I thought that was funny, but I just thought I couldn't watch any more of it yesterday. It just got too much to me. I felt ashamed. I felt genuinely ashamed. Like I felt like people are going to think that I have the same beliefs as those people. Do you know what I mean? And it's just embarrassing. It's literally embarrassing. That's the only word I could use to sum it up. It was shambolic. That was their time really to protest peacefully and get their point across. And they've gone and done that and lived up to the stereotype of a typical hooligan. And that's not, you know what I mean? I just can't get my head around it.
Another point, Sophia, I think in this country, I think everyone should be entitled to, so long as you're not being racist or being an idiot, I think everyone should have the freedom to demonstrate their opinion. But number one, what was the purpose? And number two, like the past few weeks, everyone focused on the minority of people kicking off, because you will, like Meg said, you will always get one or several. But yesterday, it was the other way around. The minority was seeing people protesting powerfully, and for what purpose. But another point I just want to make is, them same people that was all saying last week, or whenever they were saying it, that saying about the Black Lives Matter protest, which had a real purpose, by the way, and I've seen most of the people with masks, most of them being peaceful protesting. Why are they leaving the house? Why aren't they social distancing? Why are they doing that? Well, obviously to save lives and to stick up for people which shouldn't be getting attacked anymore. And then however long after, they're doing the exact same thing and attacking the police. And I'm just like, am I seeing things, or have they just like completely gone against what they were saying? Do you know what I mean? Take away everything else, they've fully contradicted themselves, and that was their opportunity to whatever it was that they was trying to declare or to trying to do. That was their opportunity to set a good example, and they set the worst one. And like you, Sophie, like after I spoke to you girls this week, I had to turn my phone off. This wasn't to do with that. This was just in general, like the comments. And I just think social media sometimes, like, especially if you're empathetic to people and how they speak to you, I feel like sometimes you just need a break, because not a break from the message behind it, but a break from just all the hatred and stuff like that. The one image that stuck with me yesterday that I did share, because I didn't share a lot, was a Black Lives Matter protester looking like he was carrying on his shoulders what was, I'm not saying this, it said a right-wing protester, whatever, this is what was quoted, who was badly beaten, and he was carrying him to help. And I was just like, look at this picture, what are you all doing? That to me just summed up the whole point of it. And like, just be nice to one another. Do you know what I mean? You never ever know who you're going to need to ask for help.
It's mad though, isn't it? Because like I put a picture of the protest that we went to, which I will say, by the way, I took my kids to it as well. We had face coverings. The kids did have them. My little one was in the pushchair to start with like his rain cover over him, so he couldn't get, like, nothing could get to him. My little girl had a scarf across her, and it was very socially distanced, to be fair. I mean, as much as you can be. There was obviously a large group of people in a smallish area. there was space between everybody, and I put a picture of us, and I put on my Twitter about it was our version, and we'd taken a picture. It was a massive sign. It was amazing to be there, and for the kids, I wanted the kids to be there to be part of the change. I want them to be the next generation that educates, that is educated. And someone put up that I was disgusting.
I seen that.
I saw it this morning. I didn't see it yesterday. I saw it this morning.
So I saw it, and I just thought, you know what? If that's your opinion, that's absolutely fine. But to sit there and then tweet me about it, like, first get a grip, get away, honestly. And then he had the nerve to block me as well, which I just thought was like.
I love your attitude.
Well, them pictures were beautiful. I was staring at them for ages.
Yeah, they were beautiful pictures, but I just think that it's not white people against black people, and that yesterday was just horrific. What I saw, like you say, Meg, it's everybody against racists. That is what the message is, and people aren't grasping that. I don't think there's no self-awareness. I mean, I heard at one point they were doing Nazi salutes in front of Churchill's statue. That just sums up like the lack of education that these people have got. Like, it's so ironic, and I was just like, I can't deal with it anymore. Like, how stupid can people get? I just had to switch off from it. But I just think that it's not a reflection on everybody. It's always a minority, like I say. I was spoiling it for other people. And I just wanted to get that point across that I felt ashamed yesterday. I really did. And I find it quite hard to talk about it, to be honest, here, because I just think it is awful. What are your thoughts on programmes being banned? That's an interesting one. I know Little Britain obviously was one that has been taken off, isn't it? I saw David Williams tweeted something apologising for it, saying obviously it was all done in good humour, didn't mean to be offensive, and they're taking it down in respect of that. Emma, what's your thoughts on them taking old shows down?
I have mixed views. I just don't know. Like, obviously, nobody meant any harm when they did these programs, and everyone enjoyed the programs. So I understand why they're being taken down, because obviously it's showing solidarity with everyone that we're going through right now. So I don't know. I'm in two minds. I honestly, I just don't know. Like,
I'm laughing at the comment there. We're better than Loose Women on TV. Yeah.
I'm just trying to stop laughing at the comment there.
And Dougie's spot on. It says, Meg, you have a beautiful family. Ignore the haters. Exactly. I was saying to Emma, just it's jealousy from people, isn't it? Just keep doing you. Do not listen to trolls. They are not worth it. TV is boring at the moment with no football. Do you think football is going to be boring without the fans? I watched the Dortmund game yesterday, and they had the speakers, the crowd noises. And I actually thought it was pretty good, I'll be honest. I actually quite liked it. But do you think it's going to be really boring to watch? Nicole, do you think it's going to have a massive implication on the entertainment side of it?
It's not going to be the same. I think you have to take it for what it is. If I sit there like I do at the start of a regular season, if you want to say, and obviously I'm going to think, well, this is boring. So I think that we can't compare. We just have to treat it like a new experience. I'm going to appreciate every single kick of the ball so much more. Is it going to be the same? No. To me, I always stick by football will be truly back for me when the fans are there. That to me is when football will be back. But at the same time, I'm not going to mow. Well, I probably will mow. But at the same time, I'm just going to take it for what it is, and just hopefully it will keep them safe and finish the season as best as they can do if possible. So yeah, I think the key is to just not compare, just enjoy it for what it is. It's going to be strange. It's going to be weird to see when we was talking about the home and away advantage. Is it going to be completely different now? Is it just going to be a case of every game's just like for itself kind of thing? But yeah, I'm intrigued, and even if I'm bored, I'm still going to watch it because I won't be able to not watch it.
Yeah, I agree. I've said the same. I'll watch it either way. I mean, my birthday's on a Saturday, and there's loads of games, and we got Bournemouth on that day. I think Arsenal got Wolves on that day as well. My dad was telling me, so I was like, right, my birthday's going to be spent in lockdown watching loads of football. Then I'm happy with that. I'll take it. But I am intrigued to hear what to do about the fans there. Meg, what do you think?
Yeah, I think fans do make football, but I think it's going to be hard. You can't really compare. You have to just take it as a new experience. It might not be as exciting. I think it'll be. I don't think I can call it boring, because I love football and I would watch it anyway, regardless of whether I find it boring or not. But I think it's just going to be a new experience. I think you have to kind of look at it like that. they're doing it to finish the season. So that's it, really. We just have to take it for that. And I think I'll be too buzzing to watch Man United and just forget whether the fans are or not.
I mean, I saw I think it was in Portugal, the fans got on top of the stadium. Did you see the
and they're like looking down,
yeah.
aren't they?
Do you think something like that, there's a risk of that happening? Because we've already seen yesterday the stupidity, and we already know like football hooligans are idiots. Do you think football coming back will then encourage people? Do you think someone will do that? I would not be surprised if you see scenes like that at some point at some games, to be honest with you. And again, it's just embarrassing. But I already mentioned that football coming back for me, it's a reason for people to meet up with their mates and watch it. It's an excuse to have
I've heard about, I don't know which country it was in. I don't know if it was Denmark or not, where they did a football drive-in. So all like an old style cinema, like an American cinema, where they go in the car and they put it on a big screen, and they had 2,000 car parking spaces and more than 2,000 cars turned up.
Wow.
And they watched it on a so obviously it was all fine because you're in your own little like car and you're in your own pod and you can't get to anyone else. But I thought that was such a good idea. It's what you make it, isn't it? It's what you make it. Like, you can still watch football. I mean, people have talked about doing a watch along. Like, you can still integrate with different fans. You just can't watch it together.
Yeah. It's interesting,
And I think idiots will always be idiots. You don't need an excuse to be idiots.
Yeah, and like someone said there, United Fly, thank you for the super chat. He says a football fan will do anything at all costs. I wouldn't say all football fans, of course. I love Manchester United bits, but I wouldn't go and climb on top of all.
Staying home with my baby.
You can't wait to see you paragliding in.
Hair dry treatment banner.
Like, share, subscribe to me.
Go United family.
Ladies and gentlemen, come on. I figure it's an excuse for people to get together. I said that already about football. I think you'll see a lot more people interacting, meeting up with their mates to watch football, because obviously you can't post the phone to watch it. And I just can see that happening. I genuinely can. And I just hope it doesn't have too much of an effect on obviously the coronavirus and the spread of it. Of course, I'm praying that players are kept safe. This news yesterday about the Norwich player and obviously another player is very worrying. Just prayers and obviously thoughts go out to their families and hopefully they're recover. But it's just highlighting again that the coronavirus is still there. It is still a massive risk, and we've just got to pray that this is the right decision to bring football back. But I want to say a massive thank you, girls, for coming on again. I love doing these shows. Nicole, do you want to shout people out and let them know where they can find you? I'll put links in the description as well.
It's just United She Stands on Twitter and on Instagram, and the links to my blog are on there as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Meg, do you want to let people know where they can find you?
Do you know what? At the start of this show, someone commented and was like, do you not have a channel? And I was like, actually, I'm the only odd one out. I don't have a channel, but I am on Twitter you can find me at Meg Wilts. It's WILTS.
You have got a channel. You've got a channel. You've got hairdryer treatment. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, well.
You can find me on here. You can find previous shows on here.
In your phone, your computer.
You can find me on Twitter at Meg and then Wilts, WILTS.
Not Meg TV. I like that. I like that name. That's good. Emma, if you can let people know where they can find you as well.
Yeah, on YouTube about United Family, and I'm on Twitter, XEmmaX88.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And obviously, I'm at SophRicho on Twitter, and obviously, this is my channel, Hairdryer Treatment. Love having these. Please do hit the like button for my fantastic guests today, as always on a Sunday. Make sure you go and follow them as well. Please make sure you go and vote for that United Family at the FCAs and Nicole. I'm sure they've got details on their social media, so go and follow them and check it out. But all vote for them, please.
We are so close to 8K.
We're so close to 8K, yes. So close to 8K. So hit that sub button if you're new as well. I'd appreciate it. But as always, guys, have a lovely rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. Football is back very, very soon. We'll be back next week, fingers crossed. But thank you, guys. Keep smiling, keep staying positive, and have a good one.